uh, well, just welcome, greetings. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
this opportunity to just hang out with you. Really, I'm you know, uh, uh, just looking forward to this exchange. And like you say, we've both got some, I think, interesting perspectives and approaches from the work that we do.
and I agree. I was watching your recent interview with he's not on screen. I'm just spacing out his name.
Tom Numbers and Gene Decode.
Gene Decode. Yeah, yeah. So there's so many things that we're I want to say that we're in agreement on everything. But what we do in this life is we get information and then we wrap it around our world belief.
Well, before we go there, I would like to do something different. Now, I've watched some of your videos and I
Okay.
see kind of the role. Would you be interested in doing something a little bit different to begin and
It's your
open our
show.
minds?
Anything you want, I'm in.
And can I invite you to, if you could, are you able to grab a small glass of water and a
Yes.
crystal and a crystal?
And a crystal.
Yeah, put the crystal in the water.
Give me 1 second. Hold on one
Yeah,
second.
I apologize. I just thought of it. While you're doing that, let me just welcome everybody to the House of HUNA on the light table. I'm pleased to be here with
All
Mr.
right.
David, and we're just going to do something a little bit different as we begin, as we're talking about living our lives according to and according to the things of our knowledge and wisdom. So, oh yes, if you could indulge me for just a
So
few
I
minutes.
have these two
Okay,
crystals.
perfect. Put one of them in a glass of water
Okay.
and choose a ring. Choose a ring, any one of these rings I'm wearing, or two if you want.
Okay, I got it. The on your left hand, the middle ring, and then the turquoise one next to it.
Okay,
Yep.
so this is called the blue tablet. It's Tanzanite.
Okay.
And you know this one. This is Mayan turquoise.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if I can invite you to take your glass of water with your left fingertips placed in the water there, if you're able to reach the water, and if you're comfortable enough, this may take a second. Maybe you can hold it or put it on your desk in front of you with your fingers in the water. Are you comfortable? It's going to take a
I'm good.
second.
I'm good.
This is a welcome ceremony. So I would, if you could put it down, so you could. I'm going to invite you to focus in a certain way.
Okay.
Keep your fingers in there. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Perfect. I'll invite you to close your eyes for just a moment. Okay. Thank you. For those who are watching, I refer to this. We refer to this in the House of HUNA as a Lemurian technology, which is we refer to as a login. Okay. So just because this is a new modern age, and we say login now for a lot of things, and so. As I begin here, just to welcome Mr. David Weiss to the House of HUNA and give respect and acknowledgement to all of what he's doing and all of those who are watching here, including those who may have questions for us. And so from the stillness comes the sound. From the sound comes the understanding. From the understanding comes the action. From the stillness comes the sound. From the sound comes the knowing. From the knowing comes the action. From the stillness comes the sound. From the sound comes the knowing. And from the knowing comes the action. From the action comes the knowing. From the knowing comes the sound. And from the sound comes the silence. Please repeat after me, Mr. David. First light,
First light.
first breath,
First break.
Breath.
Breath. First breath.
First birth.
First birth.
First love.
First love.
First stone.
First stone.
First fire.
First fire.
Ma.
Ma.
Ha.
Ha.
Ka.
Ka.
Wa.
Wa.
Ta.
Ta.
He.
He.
Ta.
Ta.
Wa.
Wa.
Ka.
Ka.
Ha.
Ha.
Ma.
Ma.
Just listen to my voice. Just listen deeply, briefly. Maha. Kawa. Tahi. Tawa. Kaha. Ma. Hakawa. Tahi. Tawa. Kaha. Maha. Kawa. Tahi. Tawa kaha maha kawatahi, 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 makote 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 tape 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 makote 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 takawa makote tawakaha maha watahi tawakaha maha watahi tawakaha maha watahi tawakaha maha watahi tawakaha ma ha ka wa ta Ite ingoa, in the name of. Te to'iri, the vibration. Te o'o, the frequency. Te wana, the energy. Wairu atapu, we remember you. Ite ingoa, in the name of. Te rani, the sky. Te whenua, the land. Te katao, the water. Wairu atapu, we remember you. Ite ingoa, in the name of. Te whaia, the mother. Matua, the father. Tama, the child. We remember you. Tihe, Modi, Ora. Sacred is your breath. Ksha. Thank you, Mr. David.
Wow, that was different. And you know what? I didn't have time to meditate this morning, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Now do I drink the water?
You can drink the water. It's coded with those codes. You can do ceremony with it, and heal the land, the water, the sky, and wherever you're standing. Thank you. That was fun. I really appreciate you opening to that. And of course, we are talking about expansion and capacity.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I know perhaps later I would ask you a question because I know that during this moment we're going to share that those are the codes of the continuum in Lemurian. It means what that means is we go there and we come back. Where do we go? Wow. Okay, so I would like to suggest, and it's just a suggestion, and it's my observation that um, I'm not really 100% in agreement that you are of flat Earth.
That I am
Yeah,
personally.
that you personally are not of flat Earth.
Okay.
One of the main reasons why I say this is because you're more multi-dimensional than you are flat, two-dimensional. You're not
Okay.
I understand you to not be two-dimensional.
When we say flat Earth, we don't mean a two-dimensional Earth. We mean a flat plane with
Yeah.
hills and valleys and depth and height. So, but yes, I hear what you're saying.
And and as I suggest that uh, you share in so many wonderful ways, and you question everything, of course, and you offer some wonderful possible solutions and potentialities. Certainly, there's a lot of potentiality in what you share. Is there confirmation? There is in some things. Some things are going back and forth, and we will today. But that's why it also leads me to feel that you are more multidimensional, and of course the plane itself can be just a flat surface everywhere you look. The flat surfaces, of course, everywhere you look. Yeah, you drive on a road, it's flat. You can't. You can drive on a bumpy road, but
We
you're
have
driving on a flat surface.
hills and valleys, but
Right.
we're talking about a level plane with hills and valleys and deep
Okay.
spots and high spots.
So, and I think a lot of people. I mean, your following is huge, and mine's not, but mine is getting there. But and so I wanted to, if I could, there on there are they say there are 7 ways to prove the Earth is round. And perhaps I mean, you probably read this or heard this, right? Um, and if I can pick on one and then we can pull it to bits, or if it stands up, would that be something we can do?
Sure, we can take it any way you want. I want to say something before you start though, is during our life journey, we come across information, all of the research and teachings that you have got, um, that if you have experienced in your life, they would make no sense if you didn't have a foundation to wrap them around, if you didn't have any idea of anything. But we're all brought up into this world, and heliocentrism, the belief in the globe, is cast upon us before we could even talk. So it's the foundation of most people's upbringing. So when you learn things, you're like, oh, and everything you do, you're wrapping around this world belief. And that's a very hard thing for some people to unwind. But the things that you're talking about, the fact what I'm going to offer today doesn't negate any of your stuff. I think it makes it more powerful. I think it enhances it. So let's start with what you want to start with, and we'll dive in from there.
Okay, so are you familiar with and my foundations are from the Maori culture, or deeper still, Lemuria. Okay, so my foundations are from the first Lemuria. First Lemuria is from 600 million years ago, 600 million years before Atlantis, in the human understanding of distance. And an understanding of Lemuria, it's instant and it's constant and it's always happening, every second, nanosecond, right? We say first Lemuria as a moment that when our planet home they call it man, but it is not pronounced as man. That's an American accent. It's pronounced as Ma. It gets spelled as M-A-N, but the N is silent. It's not even in the energy. The energy is Ma. This is a Lemurian language. So a lot of times, a lot of times, of course, the English language is a fraudulent, deceptive language, as you know, and we know. I speak energy, frequency, magnetics, and vibration. That's the language I speak. Now, my foundations are from that basis. So, in other words, I was not raised on the Gregorian, the Roman, and the Adam and the Julian. I was raised on multidimensional, not just round, not just round.
Sure.
I see this, and I understand this Earth to be two tetrahedrons joined at the base. They're not. It's tetrahedron, so that it comes to be oval. Now we can get into some of these things, but that's my foundation. Both as a healer, I'm an expansionist. From expansion comes healing. We focus on the expansion, not healing. So I'm with you. So my foundation is there. It's not. It hasn't. It's quite different from the European Western understanding. Yeah, quite a bit different.
Well, I just want to add, and I'm not saying you're wrong about anything. What I'm saying is, when you say something is thousands or millions of years old,
600 million.
We don't have a really way to prove that. I mean, in the Western society, we're told that the Greeks figured out the Earth was flat 2,000 years ago, and we find out that that's not a real story. I mean, found out it was a globe. I'm dyslexic, and we find out that's not a real story. So anything beyond 100, 150 years ago, interesting story. I kind of need some proof of it. These timelines may exist, but they may exist in a completely different way than we see them.
So to defend this, geologically, New Zealand is 550 million years in its current location. In its current location, let me expand. As we know that the planet and the land mass is shifted, and the types of material, the granite, and in this particular one, this is called Pounamu, which you may or may not be familiar with, which you know is jade, but it's a particular type. That particular type is only found in New Zealand, and it doesn't originate from that location. It originates from where Hawaii is, where it used to be. New Zealand used to be part of Hawaii and a mountain. What is my proof to this is that the geologists, many of these experts in the geological field date to the best that we can, I suppose. You could argue anything, right? You could say, I'm not saying you're wrong or right, but this is the standard so far, the most top level science about the land masses and their age. And New Zealand has been in the current location for 500 million years. Before that, it was where Hawaii was. We don't only have that geologically. We have this in our culture and in the knowledge of connection. Like when we began, and this is something that's going to come through later, we'll talk about maybe, we connected to 9 senses, David. 9. Do you know the 9? Have you ever heard of 9?
I'm not sure I can name all 9.
Okay, it's very simple, right? Let me share, because this is connecting to all that ever was in all distance, millions, billions, trillions, to just a second ago. What was 600 million was a second ago. What was its consciousness? But here's a connection. Let me share. I see you. I hear you. I taste you. I touch you. I smell you, and I can sense you. But these 6 senses, because of them, I remember you, which is a sense. I remember you. Because I remember you, I'm like, hey, I think I know you. I know you. Because I know you so well, I can say, I think we've learned some stuff, David, and maybe learn more, potentiality. I am you. And this understanding, we cannot escape each other. We are inseparable in energy, vibration, frequency making. No matter what intention you decide to lay, disconnect or reconnect or towards.
I completely agree with that. I had a good friend's father passed away a bunch of years ago, and he was an influence on many of our lives. And when he passed, I realized that he was still living within all of the children that he had affected, and they had his mannerisms, his did things, and so he lives. A piece of him lives in all of us. So I agree with that. Yeah.
And so we are not only communicating from ourselves from the position of where we stand on this planet. We have communication from outside. Outside is inside. Inside is outside. Up is down. Down is up.
Well, see, that's where we can disagree. Down is down. Up is up. Up is up for New Zealand. Up is up for Australia. Up is up for America. Down is down for all of us. Left and right, forward and backwards are all relative to which way we're facing.
Orientation. Yes.
Yeah. But up is up and down is down. And let's get, so you said you had, there was a seven.
What I mean, up is up and up is down, down is up, is that it does not matter which way you flip anything. It will, up is down, down is up. You can flip them more. It's orientation. You can spin this earth. That doesn't really matter. That's what I mean.
Let's talk about some
That's
things.
kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm with you.
That was a weird moment, David.
Yeah, I'm not weird at all. Listen, I'm really looking forward to this conversation. We have some different beliefs, but we're going to express our ideas, and then we're both going to walk away with new information.
Absolutely. Okay, so they say these 7 ways to prove the Earth is round. I don't necessarily stick to those. It just sort of be interesting. So one way they say is watch a ship sail off to sea, and you watch it sink. And if you rise yourself higher, you'll see it going further out. You could use binoculars, whatever. Yeah. And then if you let it keep going from that position, it'll look like it's sinking again.
So, all right. So let's
is vibration, atmospherics, aside from all of that.
Yeah. So again, it's something they don't teach us in school, which is perspective, which they taught us a little bit, and the angular resolution limits of our eyes. When I'm looking at something far in the distance, the lowest part of that thing has the smallest angular size. The highest part has a bigger angle because I'm looking up higher. So we did experiments where we put a brick in front of a camera on a long flat floor and drag the brick away, and at some point the brick disappears. It just disappears. And then we lift the camera up and you can see the brick. I'm up higher, I can see farther. I bring it down, the brick's gone. I stack more bricks on top of it. I can see the top bricks, but I can't see the bottom bricks. Here's just another example. We zoom in, and we zoom in, and we zoom in, and we could see this right here. But when we zoom out, its angular size is too far away. And then there's also a form of miraging that happens that kind of hides what we're seeing. So it's not disappearing from the bottom up. The other thing is, out here, there's no ship. This is the angular resolution of our eyes, but I have a super zoom camera that's helping my eyes. It's making my eyes to have super eyes. So I'm increasing the angular size, and here's this boat. So we'll watch again. Now watch, as I pull out, it's like the boat's going away, and you'll say it's disappearing from the bottom up. Watch, the hull is gone, and the window is about to be gone, and the boat disappears. Now,
isn't it that boat is static and it's not moving?
Well, even if it was moving, it would do the same thing. We don't have time for the boat to sail away. But when I zoom in on it, it increases its angular size. So to an observer on the beach, you'd say, oh, that boat's gone. It's over the horizon. And we have many, many, many observations where we can measure that. Here something with a much bigger angular size. And as I zoom out, right, I can see this, but when I zoom out, this entire city disappears. It's not over the horizon. Its angular size is too small for the human eye to see. That, along with that atmospherics, it's gone. So it's not going over a ball. If the Earth was a ball, yes, things would go over it, but that's not what's happening.
Well, I feel like there's both of these things happening. I feel like that there is a curve happening, and at the same time, the human eye cannot see certain spectrums regardless. It can only see certain spectrum of color, and color and frequency has to do with our atmosphere.
The question you have to ask is, why can I zoom in on it again and see it? If it's over a physical curve, then once it's gone, it's gone. For example, if I was
that particular picture you have, that boat is not moving, so it's not going anywhere. The camera's moving, And in the background, you have the city and you have the boat, and I
Right.
can see from behind it, maybe
Due to
the ship is
time,
moving.
due to time constraints, because we don't have time, I can show you a boat sailing away and disappearing from the bottom up, and then we zoom in on it, and there's the whole boat again.
Well, I've watched them. I've watched them.
Yeah. So again, zooming in and out, like here, for example, if this is a curved hallway, if I walked behind around that corner and you were standing right here, you could not zoom in on me even if I gave you the Hubble Space Telescope. So we flip that hall over. So if I'm on the other side of that hump, there's no amount of magnification that you could bring me back into focus again. That's because I'm behind a physical horizon.
That's a very acute curve.
It is, but if it was even bigger, I'm saying if a boat is disappearing over the curve of the Earth, it's the same thing. This is just a smaller model of it. If it's over the curve, it's over the curve. That's a physical horizon. Optics will not bring something back beyond a physical horizon. Go ahead.
I get that, because if you were just on the other side of that hump, you'd be 8,000 miles away.
Untrue. 6 feet. There's 6 feet of curvature at 3 miles.
You'd be miles away if that was the Earth.
And that's incorrect, because the Earth is 24,901 miles around, they claim. And at just 3 miles, there's 6 feet of curvature. At 10 miles, there's 66 feet of curvature. Just at 10 miles, according to globe math, not flat Earth math, globe math.
Right.
So 10 miles away, a 6 foot tall person is invisible, but we can zoom in and see people. We can see boats. We can see buildings. We can see stuff at much greater distances.
Does that mean that, of course, in any, and whether it be curved or even just flat, of course, if it was flat, you would say, but there's optics. So if I raise to a position to see, or even follow you, to track you around, this argument wouldn't matter.
Well, there's different weather conditions that do different things, and throughout the day, optics change. And there's certain times, and you can't see. People say, well, if the Earth is flat, how come I can't see, across the ocean? How come I can't see Hawaii from California? How come I can't see Europe from the East Coast? And the answer is because the air becomes opaque. And also perspective, things get small really quick. So here is a static bay. This is Skunk Bay, and it's a time lapse during the day. And if you watch, you can see the beach over here, and you can watch the buildings disappear. This is just optics. This isn't the curve of the Earth changing throughout the day. It's just the optics of the day.
So camera lenses, because the atmosphere is water, air, oxygen is water, it acts like a lens as well. I use this during healing work, that's the work we do. So it also affects cameras. It can also affect your eyes. Doesn't necessarily say that's what's happening, because if you stick your finger, if you put a stick in the water, right, and you look at the angle of the stick, looks like it's going to another direction, right?
100%. I'm with you there.
Water does that, right? And that's what oxygen is, water.
So what I'm just showing you here is this is visible, and it just keeps changing, right? Due to atmospheric conditions. So saying I can't see something means it's over the curve. That's pseudoscience. That's not real science at all. Check this out. This is very important. This is in Aluja, France. There's a viewing spot that's very famous because out here is Mount Canigou, 175 miles away. Well, according to globe math, from this altitude, looking at 175 miles, the top of Mount Canigou should be over a mile below the physical curve of the Earth. Okay, so here is what people would think is the horizon, the physical horizon, but it's not. It's an optical horizon. And 2 times a year, when the sun is between its migration between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, it lines up with this viewing spot and Mount Canigou. And with your naked eye, you can see Mount Canigou. This is all Mount Canigou. And this top point right there where the mouse is should be a mile below the curve. Now, the only explanation that the globe has for this is that magically the sun is already set, the mountain is a mile below, the top of the mountain is a mile below the curve, and optics are popping it up and stopping it right at your eye level. That's crazy. That's insanity. Okay. We can see it because it's right there and the sun is going beyond it. The light that bounces off of Mount Canigou is not bright enough to push through the soup of the atmosphere, but the sun's light, which is the brightest light, is bright enough to push through, and it gets backlit and you can see the mountain.
Absolutely. If the light was behind you, I wouldn't see you very well right now.
But you would see me blocking out the light.
I would see your shape. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, there's the shape. There's the mountain. It's right there in our view. No optics needed.
Any particular time of the day, that again, atmosphere. Water is the atmosphere, and water is a lens, so it can also obscure and block.
So the fact that we can see things that should be below the curve shows you that it's not a curve. I'll even concede that it doesn't prove the Earth is flat, but it doesn't prove that things are going beyond the curve. Want to go to number 2?
Of course. Yeah, this is number 2. A lunar eclipse. So it's also spoken, and you've watched a lunar eclipse. I've watched the lunar eclipse.
Yeah.
When I've watched the lunar eclipse, I've seen the shape of the sun on the moon as the moon passes between the sun and the earth. There's a shadow.
You're seeing the shape of the earth on the moon, you mean?
Now, if it was flat, we would see a flat object, shadow coming across the moon. And I do this. Everybody does it. We've been doing this for millions of years. Okay, we did it the other day when the last time we had an eclipse, right? Mm-hmm. And this has been a popular one. So, of course, the moon looks orange when it's in full lunar eclipse, but as it's coming around, you can see the shadow. Is that not the Earth's shadow that looks round?
Yeah, it's not, and I will explain. So when you have a sphere and a single source light, and you take another sphere and eclipse it and cast a shadow on that other sphere, that eclipse doesn't come in as a perfect curve, just like we see. It comes in as an ellipse. It spreads out, and then it leaves as an ellipse because of the curved shape of the object, the moon, the sphere. Let me finish.
Yep.
You can do this yourself too. And I got to add that clip to my presentation. You can take a sphere, a single source light, and take a straight edge, a book, a piece of cardboard, whatever, and eclipse the light. And that curve, you'll see a curved shape equally go across that sphere. I'm not saying that the Earth is flat and it's causing that. I'm saying something else is causing what we call the eclipse. Is it a shadow, or is it just a darkening of the moon? There's been over 50 documented Seleninian, don't kill me if I get that wrong because I'll never get it right, Seleninian eclipses where the observer can see the sun and the moon both above his own horizon, and the eclipse starts, and sometimes it starts from the top. Well, that's impossible. That rules out that the Earth is causing that darkening of the moon. Now, there's a lot of theories on what causes the darkening. I'm not going to go there. They're theories. I can't prove them. But what I can prove is it's not a globe doing it.
My thought is that one thought as well is that it's the reflection coming off the oceans of the planet that's throwing light. Why the light turns, why the eclipse turns, and that we get the shape is that the oceans, the waters of the planet is throwing extra light back the other way. That's where the extra light is.
That's an interesting theory. I haven't really thought about that. I have to give that some thought. When you look at a solar eclipse, think about this. If you're talking about the Earth throwing back the light, if you're on the moon during a solar eclipse, and if you believe that the moon is eclipsing the sun, you're looking at the Earth and you have a full Earth, like a full moon, because the sun is behind you. Well, the Earth's shine should be lighting up the moon, just like the moonshine, a full moon lights up the Earth. And I could read by it. I can drive my car in the dark on a full moon night. Okay. So the problem is nobody has ever seen the moon approach, eclipse, or exit the face of the sun. Even when it's totally blocking the sun, you just have the ring of fire. You would think that the Earth shine, you'd be able to see some of the features on the moon, but you don't. You just see a black circle. No one's ever seen the moon in its new phase, ever.
Okay.
Not from the space station, not from an airplane, not from infrared telescopes, nothing.
Okay, so because like a camera can only point in a certain direction, unless we have multiple cameras. So yeah, we need to have more eyes, exactly.
Well, we've filmed. How come NASA hasn't filmed the eclipse from the space station just once? Never once. How come they don't have a camera on the moon? It's the perfect tripod for looking at the Earth because it always faces the Earth. Put a camera on Earth and watch it spin. You can't do it because the moon isn't what you think it is.
Or you know, because there's a lot of theories, and NASA just doesn't want to, you know, show you. They didn't want us to look at the sun, right? They don't want you to look at the sun either. So I can't tell you why they want to do stuff like that, but I'm not fully, you know, of course, fully convinced of that. But
will it be okay when we're done with your 7 questions that I completely destroy NASA for you?
Yeah, I would love that. I mean, I'm not a fan of NASA. Never have been. So,
all right. Okay. I mean, like if I came onto the show and started lying to you from the beginning, you wouldn't believe anything I said after that. Okay. So I'm just going to show you that NASA lies all the time.
Oh, I've seen a lot of footage of NASA lying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, the same question, the same position as climatry, right?
As you rise up higher on a flat plane, you can see farther, right? And it's just because here, just like this, a balloon going up on a flat plane, you can see farther. On a ball, the ball would drop down. Okay. No matter how high you go, the horizon never drops. Now, when you go up super high, depending on the atmosphere conditions, sometimes the atmosphere will become opaque and block out some of the distant lands, and you'll have a false horizon that looks a little bit lower, but it's basically at eye level. I mean, if you go in an airplane and look out your left window and look out your right window, what you'll see is you'll see the horizon at eye level through both windows. If you draw a line from horizon to horizon, it'll go right through your eyes. How can that possibly happen when you're flying at cruising altitude? The horizon should be like 80,000 feet below you. Okay. 80,000 feet. When you're at 39,000 feet, the horizon should be 242 miles away. Okay. 242 miles is 39,050 foot drop. Add that to your already altitude. The horizon should be 78,000 feet below you. On both sides, the horizon should be 78,000 feet below you, but you can draw a line through the horizon right through your eyes. Bam. That's how you see the horizon. So that tells you there is no drop. Good.
I would say that the planet is spinning and you are traveling.
What would make you say that? What would make you say that the planet is spinning?
Traveling. If you're in a plane, you wouldn't stop. And that the planet is still spinning while you're in the plane.
But according to you need to be spinning with the planet, right? The plane's spinning with the planet.
There's different speed. They're both at different speeds.
Well, again, these are things that we never thought of. When I first heard this, by the way, I made these same arguments you're making, every single one of them. Okay, when I started, and then people showed me. So think about this: if you're sitting on the equator, right, on our spinning ball planet, at the equator.
I live on the equator.
Oh, you are okay. So right here on the equator, let's say Ecuador, the Earth is spinning at over 1,000 miles an hour. Yes, it's only one time around a day. It's still 1,000 miles an hour. Absolutely. But if I was sitting up here at a mile from the North Pole, I'm going around once a day, but I'm making a small circle. And that circle is only 3.14 miles. So I'm going 3.14 miles every 24 hours versus you're going 1,000 miles an hour. Right. You're going 24,000 miles an hour. So here's the question I have. I'm on an airplane. I'm sitting on a runway right next to the North Pole. I'm barely moving. I'm moving 1/4 mile an hour. You're going 1,000 miles an hour. I take off and I fly to the equator. And I want to land on a runway that's oriented north-south. And it's moving sideways at 1,000 miles an hour. How is that possible? That's impossible. How do I gain that sideways momentum of 1,000 miles an hour? And if you say gravity, we're gonna go at it.
No. the curvature of the Earth.
What curvature?
That's why you don't go flying either off course. You go crazy in your velocity because of the curvature.
How do I gain that 1,000 miles an hour? Think about it. The airplane doesn't have, it has a quarter of a mile an hour velocity while I'm sitting on the runway. I take off, I speed up to 500 miles an hour. That's making me go forward 500 miles an hour. How do I start going sideways 1,000 miles an hour?
I don't think you need to go 1,000 miles an hour.
I do. I have to catch up to the Earth. The Earth is going 1,000 miles an hour.
My feeling is the Earth comes around and catches you.
It doesn't, because
it comes to you.
It comes to you. So when I fly from the east, I fly from New York to California, California should be racing towards me at 800, 900 miles an hour. But when I fly from California to New York, the Earth is racing away from me at 900 miles an hour, but the plane's only going 500 miles an hour. So I'll end up out in the ocean. I'm going 400 miles an hour backwards. Airplanes fly over the Earth plane, straight and level over the sea level, not the sea curve. Okay. Even the FAA manuals, not manual documents that we found, CIA documents, FBI, NASA documents, not that I trust any of those, but FAA documents, they talk about all the modeling is done over a flat, non-rotating plane. We have tons of videos showing these documents from government websites. Flat, non-rotating planes, disclosed from the early, 1950s, 60s, 70s.
Air pressure in the cabin.
But what about the air pressure in the cabin?
Air pressure in the cabin keeps you still, keeps you in position, holds you in position.
So I agree with that. You're in an airplane, you can drink your water, you can take a walk, go to the bathroom, all as well. But now I say double the speed of the plane to match the spin of the Earth and take off the outside of the plane. Let me know how your glass of water is doing. Okay. Wow. We don't because we're spinning and there's no cover over us on the globe Earth. Now I believe that we're on a flat, non-rotating plane with a cover over us or some sort of something to contain the air pressure.
Well, absolutely. And the plane is doing that, which is even if you speed the planet up or you speed the plane up, you're still within the atmosphere pressure inside that container.
Right. You still didn't answer the question. How do I go from a quarter of a mile an hour to 1,000 miles an hour of sideways momentum? You can't answer the questions. So don't even try.
Well, my answer is air pressure. You can't feel it.
So that as I go, the air pressure is speeding me up with the Earth. So by the time I get to the equator, I'm moving sideways at 1,000 miles an hour.
No, it's keeping.
And here's the problem: the Earth is spinning to the east, and at 40,000 feet, the air is outrunning the spin by hundreds of miles per hour. How is that possible? You would think it would start to lag behind, Let's turn the blender on and look in the blender. The farther part is lagging behind the inner vortex. The Earth is spinning and the air is outrunning the spin. Nonsense.
Are there centrifugal forces? There are centrifugal forces at play here.
You're using just words. These are good words, but they're not describing what we're talking about.
When centrifugal is got this mass, there's push and pull, there's pressure, there's vacuum.
So what's pulling the plane? What's speeding the plane up to 1,000 miles an hour?
A lot of things. I'm not a scientist, but a lot of things.
You are a smart man. You have your own common sense, and the people that run this place, that are trying to run it, have convinced us to give up our common sense for nonsense. Okay, absolutely. Let's go to the next question.
Okay. But I do agree. That's a point where, we could get pulled in all directions going that speed. Traveling, well, I think we kind of talked about, is travel through the different time zones.
Time zones. Can we talk about time zones?
Yeah.
I need to share my screen with you if you mind, and I'm going to show you time zones, and we'll do seasons at the same time. Is that okay?
Before you begin, can you see what's behind me?
Yes.
Okay, so these are known as the 5 sectors, and when they're combined, they're called the 6 sectors. Now, from New Zealand, which what has been brought to us is time zones, 24 time zones, right? New Zealand, it's been shown that New Zealand is the first place in the world where light touches the ground. It touches the ground.
I could agree with that. We can talk about that.
The counterclockwise spiral. And so this is what Lemuria is. It's in alignment with the nature of things. And so being born in first light, we call it first light. Remember when Y2K kicked in, the millennium, and Y2K kicked in? What they did, and just the first time it's ever been done, never been done, ever done since. They started celebrations from New Zealand for first light traveling around the planet to the meridian time in London, and then also to carry on to Indochina and come around full circle. So we for us in New Zealand, the new year starts in June, in winter, and that's the Lemurian calendar. So this is why it's Lemuria. It's the first light. So it travels these energies. These energies between seasons expand and contract. So those energies.
I have a great question for you, and I heard you talking about this where you're 6 months ahead. So in June, that could be the beginning of your year because your sun is coming back to you starting in June.
The planet is looking at closely.
I'm going to show you a different way to look at it, but I have to ask you a favor first.
Yeah.
Forget everything you ever knew about seasons just for a minute. Okay. Just forget it all. Right. I would think, though, that our new year for the North starts 6 months different than yours because it's 6 months different. Because when your new year starts, our sun's going away from us. Mm-hmm. It's leaving us. So maybe the North and South should have different New Years. I don't know. But listen, that's not what we're talking about. So I'm gonna show you how. Now, remember again what you promised me. Forget everything that you ever knew. All right.
I saw your app.
Yeah. So I'm just going to show you the season. So right now, the sun goes around in a perfect circle. It's a clock. It keeps track of the hours and the days. The moon, which is trailing behind it, keeps track of the weeks and the months. There used to be 13 28-day months. Yep. Okay. And the sun will, if I speed it up, will outrun the moon. Watch it. It gets a little farther and farther from the moon each time it goes around. The moon phase changes, and it will lap the moon every 28 days. Fascinating, right? So the moon keeps track of the weeks and the months. I'm going to slow it down. I want you to notice that the sun is almost over that inner yellow line. That's the Tropic of Cancer. That's the height of our northern summer. But right now you can see it's kind of moving out away from it because it's already going back to you guys. Yeah. So as the months, right now, you guys are in your winter because the sun is far away from you. Look how far away it is from New Zealand. But if I jump the sun forward 6 months, we go all the way to December, boom, it's all the way out over the Tropic of Capricorn, and it's higher in your sky, closer to you. You have your summer. It's the height of your year. Okay. So seasons work because of the sun is close and far. If you and I were sitting outside in the middle of winter, you come to the north here where it snows, okay? And we're sitting outside and it's freezing cold, freezing, ice. The ground is frozen solid. And we're 20 feet apart and somebody goes over you and holds a big giant heat lamp 10 feet over your head. You look up and you're like, and you feel the warmth and it's right there. It's high in your sky. I look at that light. It's far away and it's lower in my sky. Just like you guys see the sun now, it's far away and lower in your sky because it's all the way over the Tropic of Cancer. It's high in our sky because it's our summer and it's close. Yep. If somebody moved that light over me, you would now see the light lower in the sky, farther away, and you would be cold. I would be warm. The sun's above me. And that's how seasons work. This whole tilted idea is utter nonsense because when
just
you
a question, you feel that it's the earth that goes around the sun.
No, not at all. So
you don't feel that. You don't feel the planet goes around the sun.
I have to say that you don't feel it either because we're not moving at all. I mean, you talk about how the continents moved, but when were the pyramids built? How come the shafts in the pyramids still line up with the same stars that they've always lined up with? If continents were moving, then all of these things would change. We have monuments here that line up with stars that don't move a fraction of an inch. If we're corkscrewing through space in 4 different directions at once, how is that possible? This is how it is. We live in this world pond, and the sun circles around us through the time zones. It's small and it's close, and you can't see it simply due to perspective and atmosphere. As it goes away, the atmosphere gets so thick, it blocks the sun. I can show you that. I can demonstrate that.
You're saying that the distance between this planet and the sun is very short distance?
Very close. And I don't believe that. I think the sun is more of a spiritual thing. It's a point of energy. It's not a physical ball floating above us in the sky. I think our sun is right here within our sky, within our atmosphere. And it is small and it's close, and we all see it in our own we all view it, what I call in our personal atmospheric dome. I mean, the sun that we see is super close, and it doesn't go down. Like, this sun looks like it's setting over the ocean, but as it goes farther, this horizon is just where all of these clouds, due to perspective, are just condensed, and they're opaque. But if I zoom in on this, we can see that the sun isn't setting at all. It's just going away, and there's plenty of room. You just can't see this. And the farther it goes, the more condensed it gets. Go ahead. Sorry.
With your lens, you're traveling towards it, so it's not going away. And my understanding is I just lost my train of thought, that the eclipse and these things that are happening, but between that the sun is a fair distance, a lot further away than we think, but that the magnetic field pulls, and again, water in the lensing of the atmosphere, water is what we breathe. That lens is showing us different imaging, and that the magnetic field is what brings the heat. The sun is actually not that hot.
I believe that we're in agreement there. The sun is sending electricity to Earth.
Yeah, Dr. Robitaille proved that. He's a solar physicist, most profound.
Ask him how solar panels work.
I've had breakfast with him. I went to his conferences. I've had breakfast with the guy. Right, so we sat and chatted.
Here's a question you could ask them. Ask them how solar panels work, and they don't know. They have a theory on how it works, but I'll tell you how they work. They collect electricity. They literally collect electricity from the sun. That's it. Not photons, electricity. This sun is going away.
I believe you.
Yeah. So we could be in agreement there, but we just have to wrap it around the right model.
Right.
Look at this sun.
Yeah.
Do you think from this viewing point that you're falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound, or that thing that we see in the sky that we call the sun is just moving away? We're not falling over backwards. It's moving away.
What are you doing? Are you time-lapsing?
This is a time-lapse of the sun setting.
Yeah, I mean, we can't, at that distance, because that's why I feel that it is at a further distance. And again, you got more than one camera lens happening here. You've got the water in the atmospheres, as well as a communicator.
I agree with you, but we're not falling over backwards. This is just going away. It's just going away. It's perfectly clear for anyone with eyes that see that the sun is just going away. You would have to believe. So here's the thing. The sun, you can watch the sun during the day. It goes down, 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 down. And if you have a good vantage point on a super clear day, it doesn't keep going down. It goes down and it stops and it just sits there. Okay. Here's one. This is a soldier filmed this in Afghanistan. Super clear day. Hi. This is super sped up. It's just going away. The sun should just drop below this, but it's not. It's going away. It's getting smaller and smaller. It's going away. Let me show you what I call my
tilt. Is that the tilt? Is that the tilt?
The tilt? No, the sun's just going away.
No, I mean, is that the planet tilts? So there's different angles in the tilt.
You're stuck in this belief that we're on a tilt with a distant sun and that we're spinning.
Not necessarily a belief of it. I'm asking this question: is that the tilt? Is that
no? There is no tilt. The Earth is level. It's just going away. It's just going away. Here, let me show you how perspective works. So when you look at a row of streetlights, they go down, 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 down until they disappear. And that's just something that's really kind of close. So here's how we see the sun. So first, here's a cloud. I'm looking up at the cloud. It's high over my head. But you know how the clouds all sit on a cloud deck on a nice day? So, but they look like they're going down, but they're all sitting at the same level. But due to perspective, they look like they're going down. So follow me through it because I can't stop this. So hold on. So when they get all the way to the horizon, they don't go below it. They just condense into it. Okay. So now, and this observer looks at that and draws a line between his eyes and that. He sees a line that's paralleling over the flat water. He sees a line that's level, right to his eye level, but that's not really a level line. Imagine if you were standing underneath this cloud and you could see the line that he drew from his eyes to the cloud. Would you see a line going across the water level, or would you see a line from a cloud sloping down to him? This is what you would see. But this guy here doesn't see that. So what does that mean? What does that mean? This cloud in the distance becomes his horizon. So his horizon's really up here. So as the sun just travels across the sky, it'll show in a second. So here's his horizon. We extend that horizon line. The sun travels across the sky. And when it goes past this line, it gets blocked by this, all the clouds compressed into the horizon. This is his horizon. You're seeing it like this, but this guy doesn't see it like that. This guy sees it. It goes behind here. He can no longer see it. But the way he really sees it is coming up in 2 seconds. Is like this. So this is how this guy sees this line.
Yeah.
But this is what he really sees. Because remember, that same cloud, this is that same line. He sees the sun dropping down, and it looks like it's going behind a physical horizon. But that is just going behind his optical horizon, and everything's compressed into the horizon at his eye level, because that's how our eyes work.
And our eyes deceive. Our eyes deceive.
Oh, well, our eyes deceive, but this line is a level line. And I'm just moving this ball away across this level line. It kind of looks just like that. That's a real sunset. What is this horizon? How come that's not the horizon? What's this horizon?
Right,
okay.
2 horizons.
No, it's not. This is the atmospheric deck horizon, but your eye can't see that. It all gets compressed into the horizon.
It's a perception of 2 horizons, but it's the atmosphere. I get it. You know, just like the water, like I was saying. Now, so if the sun is, like you say, just a question, just
sure,
not a position, just, you know, and we're saying these agendas, what is, then you say these people have got us all trapped in this stuff. Not me, that's for sure. And not you, that's for sure. So someone's moving these pieces around with big hands, something with big hands that can hold a sun and hold this planet and do all these things and move it around.
So if you take a magnifying glass and focus its point of energy on the ground, you can make it, it'll burn. But go out, I encourage people to go do this, and don't burn anthills, right? Because that was when we were kids, right? And look at that point. It looks kind of like a little spherical ball. It looks amazing, right? So now if I lifted that up a foot in the air, well, the dot is gone, but that dot is still there. It's just in the air.
Yeah.
It's just in the air. So that dot is what we're seeing. We're seeing, I believe, that there's a firmament up there, a lens of sort, and it's focusing the light to a point that where we see it. If you and I were outside 50 feet apart, the sun is setting behind us, and we're looking at a giant mirror in front of us. And I sent a third person up to the mirror with a Sharpie, and I say, I see the sun right there. And they drew a circle around the sun. Then they walked over to you. They're going to draw a circle around the sun that you see 50 feet or 50 yards, whatever the distance is, away from mine. We're both looking at the same thing in 2 different positions. That's how we see the sun. Check this out. This is really important for you. This is looking west over the United States from the East Coast. So we're not over water. It's 32 degrees Fahrenheit outside, freezing. Okay. And there's 0 humidity, super clear day. Well, this sun was up here, and it in 5 minutes time, it went down, 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 down. And guess what? It didn't keep on going down. It went down, 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 down. And then it stopped. And it just sat here. This is sped up 2,500%. And it just sped out. Here it goes again. It sat here for 10 minutes. And then it just disappeared into the thickness of the air. Super clear day. So that shows you that the sun's light can't push through forever. It doesn't go forever. Light traveling billions of years, millions of miles, trillions of miles, all nonsense. The sun's light is very local. Go into a dark room, get a big round table, or just in a dark room, and get a light and hold it, a foot or two over the table. It'll create a nice big lit circle, and then the other side of the table will be dark. It'll be black. The light won't travel. Okay. Right. And then add atmosphere in there, and it will block any light from bleeding over. Right. Mm-hmm. You could have light next to dark without any barrier. Like
I was in Panama recently, just a few months ago. And I woke up in the morning and it was 6:37, and I'm like, why is the sun rising in the west?
In Panama.
In Panama, the hotel I was facing faces the west directly, because I was on that side of the Gulf of the.
And Panama's right near the equator, right?
On the Pacific side. I'm on the Pacific side, facing the Pacific Ocean, and the sun is rising. And I had video of this, and I said to everybody, why is the sun rising in the west? They go, you're facing the east. No, I'm not. I'm facing the Pacific Ocean. So directly. I'm on the west coast.
And the answer is, the optics of the sky are no way to prove the shape of the earth. The sun that we see is not a physical ball. It's an optical thing. There's been times where people are seeing two suns, right? There's times where, I believe that the sun that we see isn't the real sun. The real sun is on outside of the firmament, and it's being projected in. That's why the moon does the same thing. This is my opinion. And that's why when there's a new moon, there's nothing to project. Therefore, we never see the new moon. When the moon goes new, no one sees it for 2 full days, almost 2 full days. No one's ever seen it.
If I was, and this is what I feel, is that the illusion and the optics have a lot to do with the water that surrounds this planet.
Sure.
And what's reflecting and what's kicking back, what you can feel, what is speaking to you, communication on many levels. And when I woke up that morning, I was like, this thing is in the west. Why is it doing that? And I realized, okay. And I've also seen Gene Decodes, when he was in Bali, he had 2 suns. He had one at the horizon. He had one above him, and his wife took the photo. And I was at that mountain the year later. And so what is that again?
So again, wasn't there, didn't see it myself. It could be that the sun is manifesting in 2 spots, or you might be seeing what we call the spirit sun, which is the source of the sun that we see. Again, wasn't there. Yeah. Just want to show you one thing, and then you can continue. This is a balloon. I think it was at like 80,000 feet. And it's the sunrise. The sun's over here. Everyone over here is having a beautiful sunny day. Everyone over here, it's pitch black. Okay. And that's because the sun, the light in the sky, the sun is electric. It fluoresces the gases up there. Most of the gas is nitrogen. Nitrogen fluoresces blue. And it's like a Tesla coil. If you hold a Tesla, if you have a wall of LED lights and you get a Tesla coil, it'll only light up the ones that it's near, and then they'll fade out. Okay. You move it along. That's our daylight. And then sunlight is direct viewing of the sun. If you watch the sun rises on one side of your house, as soon as you see the sun, go to the other side of the house. You can read the newspaper. Not that you should ever read a newspaper, but that's because of the daylight, not the sunlight, the daylight of fluorescing the sky. It's like the backlight of this beautiful place that we live in.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. It's like a wash. Right. And why I feel it's dark at the other side is because that wash is hitting a curve. And on the other side of the curve, it doesn't go.
Well, see, that's untrue, because this balloon can see all of the land, right? It can see everything. Again, you're stuck on the curve. It's okay. I was there. If we can zoom in and see things that should be below the curve, there is no curve. Okay. Mm-hmm. Even the globe, the people that are fighting the globe, they admit that you can't see a physical horizon. Okay. Which is crazy.
We don't have an answer. We don't have an answer.
All right, let's move on. Next question.
Yeah.
If that's okay, or continue. I like to keep it moving.
Okay, I'll do the best I can. The other one was like watch the sunset, which we already did. Measure shadows across the country.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Yeah. Shadows across the country. That's a good one. That comes from the story of Aristophanes, who was the Greek philosopher or Greek mathematician. He noticed that one day of the year, he could see the sun in the bottom of a well. That means that the sun is directly above you. That's good science. All right. So then he said, hey, I sent my buddy 500 miles away. I'm going to have him pace it. He paid him to walk it and figure out how far he went. And then he held up a pole there on the same day. So Aristophanes' pole had no shadow. And they say, first they assume that sunlight comes in parallel, right? All sun rays come in parallel. I don't know why anyone would ever assume that, because no one's ever seen parallel rays. All right. So that's the first crazy assumption.
Right.
So then we look. So here's Aristophanes. He's got no shadow on his well. You got the sun rays coming in parallel, and over here they're tilted. So he gets an angle. He figures out the distance, does some perfectly good math, and figures out the sphericity of this sphere. And Carl Sagan wrapped it in, convinced us all that this was amazing. He got it within 2% of the actual size, and pretty good for a guy 2,000 years ago. Well, the problem is, on a flat Earth with a small local sun, here's Aristophanes. Here's his buddy. Small local sun over Aristophanes, just like I was showing you with the seasons. And he gets a shadow over here, can do the same math and figure out the sphericity of this flat plane. Same math, sphericity of this plane. Nonsense. We don't live on a math equation. If you don't have all of the variables right, the equation is useless. Small sun, just as we see it. Here, it's close, it's small. There's the sticks and shadows. Debunked. And the other thing is, Aristophanes is a made-up story. He was a real mathematician. No mathematician after him ever wrote a story about him until the 1900s. There's no story about this thing, this amazing thing the guy figured out the shape of the Earth until the 1900s, when it was stuck into Rockefeller textbooks.
Yes, absolutely. And so this next one is, and I don't have much to say about that one, because it's, again, the Greeks did so much stuff that wasn't true. Didn't feel that it's true anyway. But here's pictures of the International Space Station.
Oh boy.
Yeah, they just have pictures. And whether or not this is true or not, I have no. What I want to share about this is, what I want to ask you actually is, when are you going to get on the shuttle and go up and have a look?
Because nobody ever goes to space. That's a straw man argument. Because
I've heard that.
It's here's the thing. Think about this. When you're constructing something, you got to test it. You got to put it together. You got to make sure it works. You got to redesign parts. The space station was designed by all different countries. Okay. They made it and they never assembled it on Earth. They just shot it into space and they put it together in space without any problems. It's been up there for 20 friggin' years, and there's not a single photo or video of it being built. Here's another problem. 2 different countries made the parts, but they made different hatches. So they had to get a third company to make an adapter. Okay. Never tested, never built on Earth, built in space. It would be the most videoed project ever. Mission Control will be like, okay, move that here, connect this. Zero video or photos of it being built. So let's talk. Go ahead.
We know the line, and whatever disclosure,
right. Check this out. They got some fresh lemons up on the space station. Fake. This is called augmented reality. Okay. It's not real. They're manipulating CGI objects. They do this all the time. They get caught all the time, and people just nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care.
So we can't talk to these guys, and I don't. But what I'm asking you is, when are you going to go up?
Nobody has ever been shot up in a rocket except Mad Mike Hughes, the stuntman who jumped 1,800 feet and killed himself.
That guy that jumped off, that went up and jumped and parachuted back down, you mean?
Oh, you mean Felix Baumgarten? Again, don't shoot me. I can never get his name.
Oh, yeah, I forgot his name.
Felix. So there was that was the Red Bull edge of space jump, they called it. The question is, did he really go up there? I think he did. What's that?
I think he went up.
Yeah, I think he went up too. The problem is this is a balloon shot without a fisheye lens from 120,000 feet, and it looks kind of flat to me. The problem with Felix is he went up, and he even said he saw the curve of space, but he was wearing a curved helmet. So even on the ground, it would look curved. Now, whether he was set up there to say that he saw the curve or he expected to see the curve, and that was the coolest thing. But the problem is, if you look at the photo of him up there, like this is what they showed everybody. They did 2 test jumps before this, and they didn't use GoPros. They used they used regular lenses. Everything was flat. Then they used GoPros, and this is what they showed us. But here's the problem: if you look at this photo, we can see this river here. We can see these land features. You examine it. This is all New Mexico, which is just a small state in the United States. So this is planet New Mexico. Like a quarter of the planet is New Mexico. This is a fisheye lens. The other problem is he went up. The Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. He should end up 3,000. He was up there for over 3 hours. He should be 3,000 miles out in the ocean. He landed east of where he took off. He outran the spin of the Earth and landed.
So how did they take the photo? Somebody took the photo from out.
No. There's an arm reaching out over here. Arm. There's an arm. And then when we compare the photos, they're all different. They're all from different jumps and stuff. It's all nonsense. I believe he jumped. I'm not sure how high he was, but this is a fisheye lens, period. And the fact that he landed east of where he took off proves it.
Right. Absolutely. We know what fisheye lenses do, and we know what water does.
Water lays flat. Very good. The Earth is 70% water. I believe it's more, but 70% of flat water. Where's the curve? Where is the curve?
I don't feel that it's flat, but yeah, there's a lot of water. I just feel that there is a lot of water, and that this planet is a lot bigger than we think.
That was the first thing I went to when we did measurements, and we say, oh my God, we can see things that are too far. And now with with infrared lenses, we can see things 1,000 miles away, crazy distances. But even some of the basic distances we've done, the radius of the Earth from the center to the surface is 3,958, if I got that right. So as you bend that radius, it makes a curve. So there is a curvature based on a radius. The distances that we see, this 3,985 miles radius, we would need a radius over 100,000 miles, right? For the distances that we would see, it would be 100,000 miles. Now, I don't believe that the Earth is a ball with a radius of 100,000 miles, but if it was, that'd be a pretty big secret.
Right. Now,
pretty amazing.
Where do you get your numbers from? Science, right?
Well, no. You can't just say science and then say, well, science says. Science is a word. Physics is a word.
Somebody brought the numbers, right? Some individual.
Here's that's a great question. Where did they get the radius from? Who figured out the radius of the Earth?
Where did they get it? And
Aristophanes figured it out, but he's wrong. It works on a flat Earth. Okay.
So your numbers are from the person who shared those numbers to you.
I'm using their numbers against them. I'm showing you that their numbers are ridiculous. Nobody has figured out what R is, the radius. Nobody knows where R came from. Nobody can prove R. Without R, there's no curvature. There's nothing. Okay. There's no proof of R, period.
Using that foundation of mathematics and measurements. And
what I'm saying is, if the Earth is a ball, it has curvature. If this is the radius, as you move that radius, it makes a curve. It makes a curve, right? My elbow is the center. It makes a curve, right? That's the radius. No matter how long it is, I don't care if it's 1,000,000 miles or 400 miles or 4,000 miles, it makes a curve. We can see far beyond a radius of 100,000 miles, which is, over 25 times bigger.
I totally understand you. And just lost my train of thought. There's so many.
There's a lot. Sorry about that. You want to go to the next question?
It's okay. Well, there was just the 7, and a couple of them you already kind of spoke about. So there wasn't any more 7 ways. There was only 7 ways to prove. But
here's something that you can think about. A submarine uses sonar. And when sonar hits something physical, whether it's a fish or a mountain or a rock or another submarine, it bounces back. and it tells them how big it is, how far it is.
Just
Well, the most of the ocean is the abyssal plain, which is the flattest place on Earth.
Yep.
A submarine sitting near the bottom of the ocean can see another submarine over 100 miles away. Well, with an Earth 24,901 miles around, like they tell us, that submarine should be behind a mountain over a mile high. A mountain over a mile high. So you have to believe that that sonar climbs up a mile, goes down a mile, hits the submarine, bounces back over the mountain, and they could see it. That's not true. It's flat.
There's obviously some a lot
flat
of
parts
lies going on here.
Oh, thank you. I'll go there. And another thing, on the surface of the
I can't explain
water,
either direction, but there's a lot of lying going on. And I used to say this many years ago. That there's a whole lot of lies going on. You know, so, and even now, there's still a whole lot of lies going on, even more. So I'm not a submarine guy, but I get what you're saying.
Also, on the surface, a battleship can put a laser target, pencil thin laser target on another boat over 100 miles away. There should be a hump of water over a mile high, 6,600 feet of water in between them, but somehow the laser can see the other ship. The surface of the water is flat. The base of the ocean's flat. Everywhere is flat. Okay. Yeah. Now you have mountains and valleys and stuff in between. It's not a two-dimensional Earth. Here's the thing. This mother, I believe in Gaia, if that's the name of the Earth. It's much bigger than a ball.
The new name of the Earth is Matea.
Matea.
Yeah.
I like it. Matea.
That's the new name. It means
I like it. I'm in. So Matea, you're doing her, right? Is it her?
No, it's Divine Union.
Okay.
Come on. Divine Union, brother.
Here we go. Them, this, them, there, whatever. Okay. I don't want to offend anybody. Okay.
We'll move to it in a minute. Go ahead.
All right. So you're doing the Earth, Matea, a disservice by saying it's just a ball floating in a space vacuum. Matea is a large, extended plane. We live in a pond within that plane. Okay. It goes on and on. Maybe there's billions of other ponds also. You know, maybe we're not the only pond. Maybe there's rings around us. Okay. Maybe there's other worlds right here beyond Antarctica.
Maybe.
Okay. Maybe. Again, we don't know because we're there. Or maybe we're all that there is. And we're
This I get. I don't feel the ice wall is there, but there is land masses further out than
well, I don't even like to call it an ice wall. I call it the shoreline of our lake. And some parts of it is a cliff. Okay. And that's what they call the ice wall. There's other parts that are rocky shores. Okay. Where you can pull a boat up. So what's out here in this outer space?
We should ask the polar bears.
Who?
The
polar bears?
Ask the bears. They live up there. Ask them.
All right. Well, I don't have access to them. Maybe you can ask them.
This is what we do. This is the part I'm going to talk about in a moment. But I get that there's land out there but there's also underwater, land underwater.
You're in New Zealand, right?
No, I'm in the Yucatan Peninsula where I live. I live in Playa del Carmen.
Okay.
But I'm from New Zealand, right? And I'm tutored through the mystery schools of my culture.
There's a lot of flat earthers in New Zealand.
Oh, I know. That's okay. Everybody can be, but I don't feel they're flat earth. I feel you're multidimensional. I don't feel
I'm with you. A multidimensional Earth with us living on this plane within those multi-dimensions. I love it. A spinning ball flying through a space vacuum, defying all the laws of physics. Exactly. I don't buy that at all.
Defying the laws of physics. We love that. We strive for defying the laws of physics. This is what communication is. It doesn't adhere to any kind of, is it quantum? Absolutely. And I'm talking about the continuum. Yeah. It goes in all directions.
I'm with you. I believe that there's a heavenly realm right above us, right, very, very close to us, right above us, a non-physical. Look at the clouds. Think about.
I want that for you. I want that for you.
Yeah. Think about clouds. Why do clouds have nice sharp edges to them when they're not being sprayed and dispersed? Okay. They're morphing intelligence, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
Right here, they do. They're often like popcorn, and they're all kinds of shapes.
Right.
They're all different shapes here. I'm close.
What's going on there?
This is where the magnetic field. This is a place where the magnetic field comes to almost zero.
So here's the other thing. We have they tell us the North and South Pole, we have magnetic poles on a spinning ball Earth. Well, all magnets point all magnets, all compasses point towards the center, right? We have our magnetic center, and the compass always points to the center, right? So, east and west are circles around that center because I'm trying to push this thing west, but I have to keep turning it to keep it going west. West is right here on the compass, and that needle keeps making me turn. So west is a circle, east is a circle. All of these lines radiating out are south. The problem is, if the Earth was a ball, when you got out here, your compass would point towards the South Pole. Never happens. Compasses don't work in Antarctica. Okay.
No.
They don't work because they're too far from the magnetic center. There is no South Pole.
My feeling is that the apex, and I call them apexes, not poles, that the southern apex is pointing to the northern apex. So the magnetic field flows into up through it and up out of the north, where if the equator is going just a circle, if you put an object in your right hand, it will still be, in your left hand, this would still be the left. If you put an object in your right hand, it would still be your right hand.
Right. The way I see it is that we live in a toroidal field that's coming out of the North Pole. It wraps around, and we live on a plane within that upper and lower toroidal field. We live on the plane in between. Okay. And the North Pole is the center. There is no South Pole. And that's the way I see it.
My perspective is that there are two apexes. There is the southern apex and the northern apex. There's the other end of your northern magnetic. There's another end of it. At the other end of it, I feel, is the southern apex. And this is why you get the toroidal field, much like your kidneys. Your kidneys are a generator. They generate magnetic energy within inside your body. This is part of biology, and it's a generator for your electromagnetic field, other wonderful things that it does for your body, and that the earth and the toroidal field represents your kidney. And there is the up and the down of you. There is the up and the down of you. No matter which way you.
A lot of these things
is the up and the down.
I'm with you. We have our heart is our toroidal field center. The center of the earth is the center. It makes this toroidal field. I just said
cut an apple open. You'll see it's the shape of a kidney on the inside when you cut it in half.
There's a lot of stuff to look at there. Doesn't mean we're on a spinning ball flying through an impossible space vacuum.
Absolutely. I don't agree that there is only the north magnetic. I agree. I'm with the two apexes. That they do this and the other one does the opposite, and it is very much bigger than that is this radius suggests. That's where I'm at.
I haven't seen any evidence of it, but I respect your opinion.
No, yeah. So of course, I haven't seen anything to debunk that, to show me any otherwise. Well, including all these optics that you're sharing. There are a lot of it is optic. And again,
think about this.
Go back to the water inside surrounding this planet. With the sky is water. And
right. But what's containing that
there is not accurate. That image you're showing is not accurate either.
This?
Yeah, that's not accurate, that image.
What's wrong with it?
I don't feel I feel that that's what's happening with some of the planets, but I don't feel it's fully accurate model.
This is what science tells us is going on with the spinning ball. We're orbiting the sun, we're spinning, and we're chasing the sun.
I don't feel that that's accurate that they're saying. The guy, I saw this a long time ago, years ago, I've seen that image.
Your feeling is correct. It's not accurate.
It's not. I know.
Right, because
it's not.
The Earth is nothing like that. The Earth is a flat stationary plane. We're not moving, in all those directions, all curving, speeding up and slowing down. Water would be sloshing all over the place. But we have perfect lakes that are mirrors. There's zero movement. Nothing is going on here at all.
We do have those, but then we don't have those. We do have them, and they're not always like that.
Yeah, no, like because of wind and conditions. But
the magnetics of the North Pole holds these pieces together into each other.
So you believe that the magnetics, the North Pole,
the toroidal field holds it together. Why the water doesn't spill off the planet? It holds it all together
because of gravity, the unproven theory.
No, because of electromagnetics.
And so the electromagnetics are holding on all of the water, but I'm able to stand up and hold my arm up.
It's spinning. The toroidal field is spinning. So there's force being placed on everything. And force pulling in and force pushing. That's right. You have waves, right? You get on a surfboard. It's not pulling you, it's pushing you to the shore, right? Right? You ever surf? Right? You surf.
Yeah, absolutely.
That wave is pushing you to the shore. It's not pulling you to the shore.
Sure.
Right?
So we're spinning on a ball, and what's holding the water on?
Why is it pushing you? Because there's forces all in different places of the planet. There are different portals, there are different gates, there are different access points for energy.
So this is going on in New Zealand right now? This is happening in New Zealand?
Yeah, right.
Okay. I mean, that's what you have to believe, that this is going on in New Zealand right now.
That you get pulled in. So down is up and up is down. That's why I always say down is up and up is down. So the orientation of energy, it serves your center. This is part of what I will share from my perspective. Yeah. I don't follow all this science, and I don't blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying is that wherever your center is on the planet, whether it's north or south, wherever it is, whether it's on a flat plane, is a consciousness. It's a consciousness, a flat Earth consciousness. But I don't feel your flat Earth.
So we did at the end. Remind me. I want to do a little ceremony with you, like you did with me at the beginning. But I want to show you one thing. This is a hypersonic sled, and if you could hear it, it would be more effective. I have this on my channel, DITRH, but that thing just went by at Mach 8.4. I'll show it again. Okay, Mach 8.4. All right, watch this thing. You won't even be able to see it. Bam, it's gone. You have to believe that the Earth is orbiting the sun 10 times faster than that. Okay, and that we're chasing the sun 90 times faster than that. Okay. This is the speeds that they tell us we're going at. Right? Can't even see it. This is a fraction of the speed that we're supposedly moving in an elliptical orbit. Utter nonsense.
Right. I think there are some nonsenses going on.
There certainly are. There certainly are.
I'm with you on the nonsense. There is some nonsense going on.
Yeah. So
I don't think that they, whoever they are, make these tests here. That's a small item traveling at like a bullet. If I shoot a bullet, how fast does a bullet go? Faster than Mach 8, right?
I don't think so. I think it's a little slower than what we just showed you there.
It's pretty fast, right? A bullet,
yeah, pretty damn fast.
You can't see it.
I know. The point is the speed that they tell us that.
Because if you shoot a bullet up, where does it go?
It goes up, then it comes back down.
Back down. Right?
Yeah.
You shoot it this way, like if you shoot it, it goes up because it's going to climb and then it drops a certain level.
The whole gravitational model says the atom that's at the very center of the Earth says everything come to me in all directions, right? What about the atom that's halfway between the center and the surface? How come he doesn't say everyone come to me? How does everything know to go towards the center of the mass? Pseudoscience.
It's like all of us, when we all stand around on the planet calling each other from every position, pulls in everything together.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not trying to like.
No, I hear what you're saying.
This is what I'm saying. Communication. The planet is a communicator. That's what I feel. It communicates in multiple dimensions, and it has an apex north and south. That when you are speaking, when the planet speaks from many points, from mountains, from oceans, from rivers, from trees, right? And so, of course, I might be nonsense as well. I might be also talking a whole lot of nonsense. But from my perspective of what I do, as you say, and what I do in my life in healing work for people and this planet, I work with stargates and portals, and I do access them. Right. This is my experience.
So hold on. I want to comment on your stargates. Stargates, I believe you, but they've been hijacked. They're not stargates to distant stars. They're stargates here within our realm.
This is the work I do every day, David. Stargates and portals. And let you know, you're right. They were hijacked, but we've pulled them back into different frequencies. This is the work we do. We don't just let them, like, for instance, here's an example. Here's a piece for you. What month were you born in?
July.
But you don't agree with July, right?
What do you mean I don't agree with July?
Tell me you don't agree with July.
please.
I don't even know enough about it not to agree. So fill me in.
Now, okay. So for you, July is the 7th month of the year, right?
It's not the 7th month, but go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the 7th month, and neither is it July.
Okay.
Well, that's the code that they're sharing with you, the nonsense they're sharing with everybody. What's the zodiac position and constellation aligned to that month?
Cancer.
Yeah, that's a lie too.
Okay.
It's not Cancer. It's not July, and it's not the 7th month.
You know what? I have a lot to learn on that, and I'm sure you are advanced in that stuff.
I'm versed. This is what I do. Right behind me.
Yeah.
Right. There's 5 sectors of the 6 sectors. Sector 1 through 5. We have the center is the golden compass, the Earth, the planet, Mater, where it's round and it has the tetrahedron at the center. But there's a primary. We call it the primary. It's not the Star of David. It's much older than David. It's before David. Okay. So if you are following carbon dating or the dating processes of materials, I'm sure you do. Right.
I don't believe in carbon dating. It's been wrong so many times, and they've been trapped. They've been tricked.
There's new sciences that there's more technology than the old carbon dating, but they do have DNA, DNA and dating from DNA and all these kinds of things, materials, right? So behind me is the golden compass, what we call the golden compass, what I call the golden compass, which is this planet and how it navigates the beings we are. We are light beings. We are light in the human. We're not just human. As I understand, we are in the human. And so your birth sign in the Lemurian calendar, this is the Lemurian calendar. If I say June, it's just a word. It's some Roman whatever, or Greek god or whoever, Caesar, decided to name his own months and wishy-washy after him, right? And the constellations, right? These are all codes out of Atlantis. Codes from Atlantis. So those codes, in my understanding, and the true codes are aligned to first light. Again, and I go back to the position of New Zealand where this 24 light zone, it's light time to me, not time, light time. And for me, for this perspective of 6 months difference between the Gregorian and the Lemurian, we're 6 months ahead of that perspective. We're taught to stay in that trap. You're right. There's a lot of nonsense, and that's a huge trap. And it starts at your birth being put into these codes. And these codes in the Gregorian and the Jesuit and the Roman and the Adam and all of that and the biblical are all codes to trap you into that. I still feel that there's a sphere, but I feel that it's much bigger than we.
So let me address that, and then we can wrap it up, and I'll do my ceremony with you. Is that cool? Right. So right. I'm pulling back up the clock here. So the sky is a perfect clock, right? We're told that we're corkscrewing through space. Every year we're traveling 4.5 billion miles from where we were the year before, but somehow the star constellations never change. They're always in the same position, right? The sun is always in the same sign on the same day of the year. Well, that's impossible on a spinning, what's that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So on a flat stationary Earth with the sun, with everything circling around us, that makes perfect sense. All of these luminaries that we see in the sky, we have all sorts of crazy beliefs on what they are. They're all here within the Earth system. They all affect us personally. When Mars is in retrograde, I used to laugh going, how could that thing 40 million miles away affect me? It can't even affect the tides. But Mars is an energetic source right here, right above the clouds. It's right here in our system. So all of these positions of all of this stuff, astrology, paying attention to what's going on in the sky, work better on a flat Earth. I believe astrology, tell me if I'm wrong, you mark all of the movements of all of the stars and all of the wandering stars, the planets, but they don't account for the Earth's movement. Is that correct?
That's why I'm getting at. The point I'm getting at, that accounts for the Earth movements is in here.
Well, I don't think the Earth moves at all.
I do.
Okay. Well, we can look at things in the sky and see that, they don't move. Like, go out tonight, look at the stars, mark where they are. Next year, 10 years, whatever, same night, same time, go out, and every single one of those stars will be in the exact same position. That makes no sense on a corkscrewing planet. When we look through our Georgia Guidestone, the North Star is always there and never moves.
You can't stand out there every day waiting for things to move. They're not going to while you're standing. When you go back to sleep, in your consciousness, you're going to say they're still in the same place, right? But in moments that, in my understanding, if they are moving, everything is moving. Everything move, action, light and action is all moving. So your consciousness is bringing Mars here. We don't call them Mars. The language of Atlantis is one distorted from war, and from the influences that Atlantis placed on society years later. And so I don't speak that language. If I could help it, not speak English if I could help it. But so these names and labels in an Atlantean language are already distorted. Everything is distorted through that. I'm trying to share what my work is to share, getting back to Lemuria. And again, I go back to Lemuria to 600 million years. That could have been now, could be 600 million years ago. Or
1,000 years ago.
Or 1,000 years ago. It's from your center, right? You're the center of the universe, right? Everything revolving around you. And so
that's what my mother always told me.
She's a smart lady, right? Right? Of course, we do the best we can, but I think there is new technology. There is new technology that will come. I feel that is not just come to us, but perhaps we'll remember. And the process of this, you and I sharing here for our audience, just so that you understand. I'm not here trying to debunk Mr. Dave. I actually support.
We're having a conversation.
Yeah, I support your position that. But I see you being multiple dimensional with now my question is, is there another agenda? Do you have another agenda aside from proving that this is flat Earth?
My agenda is just for people to start testing these things themselves. Don't believe anything I say. Go out there and test it yourself. See how far you can see. See if you can find something that actually goes behind a curve on a consistent basis. The fact that you can't see my house right now doesn't mean that the earth is curved. It means a million things. There's something blocking it. There's a mountain between us. It's too small to see. You don't know what direction to look. I mean, there's a million reasons. I know you live
in a house, David.
I know, but the thing is, when someone says I can't see something, therefore it's over the curve, that's pseudoscience. That's not even science. That's doing a disservice to pseudoscience.
Absolutely.
So listen, we need to wrap this up, but let me just tell people. If you want to learn more about Flat Earth, check out my app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. It's $3, one-time charge. There's a subscription in there. Do not sign up for the subscription. You don't have to. You get everything for free. Just check it out, and it'll show you. It'll be links to all sorts of stuff. You get a daily video every day, and I have a challenge for people. I'm offering 2 Bitcoins if you can give me 1 proof of the globe. And all you have to do, 2 Bitcoins. You just have to watch the daily video every day for 2 weeks. And then send me your proof of the globe. But before you do,
Bitcoin's got cheaper. So maybe
before you do, you have to look at the frequently asked questions, because if your question's there, click it, find out the answer, and then come up with another question. All right, ready? Okay, I assume you're barefoot, hopefully. And everybody in the audience, everyone in the audience, do this. Plant your feet solid on the floor. Close your eyes. Relax your arms. And I want you to imagine yourself spinning on a ball 1,000 miles an hour backwards. While that's going on, that ball is on the end of a string and somebody's swinging it around, and you're going 66,600 miles an hour in another direction. While that's going on, the ball is acting like a rocket ship chasing the sun through an infinite space vacuum at 500,000 miles per hour. While all of those 3 motions are going on, the entire system is moving sideways at 1.5 million miles per hour. Okay? And now, shake it off. Open your eyes. Forget everything I told you. Forget all of that. Take a deep breath. Clear your head. Close your eyes again. Feet on the floor. Now you're connected to the earth. It is unmoving. It is solid. It is never moving other than a minor earthquake. You're connected. You're receiving energy from the earth. All of the luminaries in the sky are circling around you in perfect order. The sun and the moon circle around you, bringing day and night. And you are part of this system. You are enclosed. You are safe. There's no asteroids that are going to take you out. There's no shortage of anything. There's no shortage of kindness. There's no fear. This is where you live. Don't let them hijack your mind. And that is all.
Wonderful. Thank you, David.
All right. You can find me at theflatearthpodcast.com. If you forget, the app is available on Android. You have to have 8.0 or higher, or iPhone 6 or better. Hopefully more than a 6. And check it out. Have some fun with it. Read the reviews. If you're not sure, just go read the reviews. That'll turn you into a flat earther. Go ahead.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Go. Where are you now since we had the ceremony in the beginning?
I'm feeling terrific. I feel like I'm on the top of the world.
And that's it. Exactly. We're on top. We're at the center.
We're all on the top.
Throughout your ceremony, I was that. Throughout your ceremony, I was also that.
Yeah.
I was everything that you suggested.
I used to worry about when I talk to people somewhere else on the world and what angle they are to me. But now I never worry about that because everyone is at the top.
Exactly.
Earth is flat.